watching Sunday Sound Off with Frank Bowl.
Welcome back to Sunday Sound Off. Our first hot topic of the night. Eric Hosmer wants a 10-year deal. How much is he worth to the Royals? Remember, that is a long contract. It's going to cost a lot of money. Cody, you just got back from spring training. Is Hosmer worth it?
Not 10 years, he isn't. Very few players are worth that kind of risk. You just saw the deal Jason Hayward, with the Cubs, and that's a pretty comparable player to what Eric Hosmer will give you probably over that span. He is a good defender at a defensive position that doesn't, he's a really good defender, at a defensive position that doesn't matter as much as others like center or shortstop or catcher. He also hits for below average power for his position. Jason Hayward, similar. He's a get-on-base guy. And I know Eric Hosmer's numbers went up from 18 home runs to 25 last year, but that's not enough of an increase. Really, he didn't jump anybody in the standings because power was up across baseball. If you give him a 10-year deal for the kind of money he's going to want, $150 million, $200 million, if you go that high, you're paying for the hope that once again this power plays out. And it hasn't with either Mike Moustakas or Eric Hosmer to the point that they were in the minor league system. They were supposed to be huge power guys, and to give Eric Hosmer that much money is a giant risk. You can risk putting yourself back in last place for the next 5 or 6 or 7 years, just like the Twins did with Joe Mauer. It is incredibly risky to take that chance with Eric Hosmer, and at 10 years, I can't see how you could do it.
Jesse?
Yeah, Dayton Moore knows this. You can't make emotional decisions when it comes to these sort of things. But when I hear 10 years, I hear the best agent in the business leaking out 10 years in that contract that he wants. And he has Scott Boras. And so Scott Boras is probably wanting 10 years. We heard the number $200 million floated around last year. And Cody talked about it a little bit. There are some flaws in Hosmer's game. Defensively, the metrics don't love him. Base running has been a struggle at times. He hasn't even been, an above replacement level player, according to some metrics, into the last 3 years. So a lot of room to grow to demand that sort of a contract. But the good news for him is that there still is room to grow. And if he can hit the ball in the air a little bit more, you could see that power spike. And then you would have a really good player. But I can't see a 10-year deal for him. I think that's Scott Boras trying to do his job.
Yeah, Stan, the other part of this is he wants a 10-year deal. But if they did end up signing him and giving him a 10-year deal, would it signal anything else to any of the other free agents that are on the market, like Moustakas and Kane, to re-sign? Or will they run out of money and just not have any money for anybody else? That's what you're worried about when you do something like this, right?
Well, I think that's the message. This is a cold-blooded business, and these players will never let you know about what happens behind the scenes. But there's no salary cap in baseball, but there's the equivalent to the salary cap. They've already paid Alex Gordon a ton of money. Now, if they come back and do something with Hosmer and overpay him, then the next guys down the line have got to say there's no way they're going to have enough money for me. So it doesn't send a message that you have positive, because that you have all the money in the world and you're going to pay everybody. It's, hey, they paid those two guys, they're not going to be able to pay the rest of us. Now, we've heard a lot about $15 million a year to $20 million a year. I'm okay doing that for Eric Hosmer for a shorter contract. Forget 10 years, 3 to 5 years possibly. I like his leadership. I think it's important in sports. What he brings into the locker room, what he does fielding the baseball. When the ball's thrown to him, he's very good. He's a type of leader you want. Love to see him be a Royal. Pay him a lot per year, but don't do it for too long. Otherwise, that weight will hang over the Royals for a long, long time.
All right, Stan, good thoughts. Here's our second hot topic of the evening. KU head coach Bill Self says, playing all these close games is like having 9 lives. It's going to cost you in the long run. Ooh, you hate to hear that just before the NCAA tournament that's looming right in front of them now. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, last year KU won a lot of close games too, and they ran into a tough team in Villanova. I mean, we know this, and Serena said it over and over again. It's hard to predict the NCAA tournament. There are things I like about this Kansas team that we've talked about. They have a consistent offense, which seems to show up game to game, and they seem to be finding and coming into their own defensively. But when it comes to close games, it's not very good for you when you're looking at a predictive standpoint. And what I mean by that is a lot of the advanced rankings don't like Kansas as much as the NCAA tournament committee is going to like them and put them as a 1 seed. So if you're looking at Kansas team strength, I looked it up the other day, at least on Ken Pomeroy's rankings, which are my favorite, and at least how he had it, this KU team is the 7th best out of Bill Self's 14 seasons. So again, you'd like to be a little bit better, but there are still lots of reasons to like this team when the tournament comes. I like their offense. I like the mix they have together. Depth really isn't usually an issue in the NCAA tournament, and having Bill Self as a coach and having these guys that close out games, somebody has to win close games. KU's won a lot of those lately.
Yeah, and Stan, the situation with this as well is the fact that, okay, they win close games. I think players think, oh, it's a close game, we're going to win. Coaches and fans panic in all these close games, right?
Yeah, the fans have got to hate it, and they don't have a dominant basketball team like they've had in the past. But it's not a bad thing if you don't have a dominant team with a ton of depth that you go win the games. Who can be upset about that? They could have lost their share, but they haven't done that. In single-digit finishes, got games decided by 9 or less, 9-1 for the Jayhawks. A close game against Kentucky. They came back and won that game. It's nice to see. It's a good trend line. But what I do like about Kansas' team, because we can't predict what's going to happen in the NCAA tournament, one bad day will get you out of the tournament, is Josh Jackson is playing better. And you think about the great players that Kansas have been one-and-done types. They weren't peaking at this time of year and getting better. So I think that's the thing you can look at. He may make even better plays in the NCAA tournament with the big lights on. Remember when Irvin Magic Johnson was a freshman at Michigan State? We heard about him during the regular season, but when the NCAA tournament came on, he played at a whole nother level. I like the fact that Josh is trending upwards from a good start to a great finish.
Cody, are they going to cash in or pay up with these 9 lives?
I'd worry more about the close games if they weren't winning them in what is an incredibly tough Big 12. It's not an easy place to play. Ask K-State how easy it is to lose close games in the Big 12 this season, and a number of other teams for that matter. I know Bill Self did a good job predicting his team earlier in the season when he said, you know, they were going to have to win games close because they didn't have the depth that they were expecting. He was right there. But the NCAA tournament, look at the way it's shaping for Kansas. If they stay where they are right now, Frank, it's Tulsa and Kansas City. They're going to play right near home. I would think based on this team, and it's not just that, they've got closers. You need closers in the NCAA tournament. You know, Villanova showed that last year for you, Frank. And this year they've got Frank Mason and Josh Jackson and the way he's playing. And they've got an experienced big guy in Landon Lucas who does seem to show up at his best in the last 5 minutes of the game. So with all those pieces in place and the fact they're going to be playing close to home and the talent that they have at important positions, including both at guard and Josh Jackson, I don't think you want to predict it. I think close games in the Big 12 this year mean something different than close games in the Big 12 in different years. It's just too good of a league to think that it's going to really bury Kansas in the end.
All right, our final hot topic, former Duke player and current Cav Kyrie Irving believes the earth is flat. I'm not kidding. He really believes the earth is flat. Stan, what am I missing here? What happened to Christopher Columbus? What happened here? What?
I tell you what, where do you go with this? I guess I have to just look at this Sunday and say, watching that NBA All-Star game that Irvin was a part of, maybe the earth is flat because basketball without defense reminds me of the earth without being round. So I did watch the NBA All-Star game tonight. I can't believe I admitted
the earth
that.
is flat, then there's no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unbelievable. These guys, hey, they're good players, but they shouldn't be telling us about politics or science. Just keep your quotes down.
Cody?
That Duke education surely paying off.
Remember, he was one and done. That's a whole other subject there, okay?
Yeah. But seriously, if you're going to go down the conspiracy road theory, choose a cool one. Like Tupac's still alive making rap albums that we get to hear in 10 years.
Elvis is in a gas station in Vegas.
Yeah, don't go down the earth is flat road. That one's too easy to prove. You got to go with the ones that are like aliens built the pyramids. I don't have empirical evidence against that. I can't stop things like that. But if you're going to give me the earth is flat and then just cite things like, well, I don't know, Mike, well, what happens? Do you fall off? They're like, it might be endless. We're not sure. The truth will come out eventually. I'm like, oh, I can't. And he had backers in the NBA too, Frank. It isn't even just Kyrie. There were other people who backed him with this story of the earth is flat. It's crazy.
Oh, gosh. Jesse, you got the final word on this one.
I don't want the final word on this thing. Where is Seren when you need him? No, honestly, are you ever around buddies or someone maybe in the group you don't know and you feel like there's an inside joke and you don't understand it and you're not part of it? I feel like this is an inside joke that none of us are invited to. So if the main point is this, that you need to question everything, I mean, just look to sports. There's lots of things. We all thought for a long time batting average was the best offensive stat, and now we know that isn't true and that there's better measures out there. So if the lesson to be learned is to question everything and think about things for yourself, then great, Kyrie. But if the lesson is that the earth is flat and that science means nothing, then I guess that will end the discussion on this topic.
There you are. And actually, when I was looking all this up, there's actually a flat earth society out there, and they all believe it. So there you go. Kyrie's not the only one. Up next, we're going to get some final thoughts from the panel. It's their time to sound off on anything that's on their minds. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.
Hey, Frank.